They said she smiled too calmly for someone who'd just been hit. But that smile wasn't peace. It was warning. The kind a storm gives, right before it swallows the sky. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The strike came fast. The colonel's hand cracked across her jaw, sharp enough to make the entire briefing room freeze. Papers fluttered to the floor. The echo hung in the air, thick with disbelief. She didn't flinch, not because she didn't feel it, but because she'd felt worse, far worse. Her name was Lieutenant Avery Cole, young, quiet, recently transferred to the base after a classified deployment. To most of them, she was just another officer in a crisp uniform. To him, she was a woman who didn't belong in his world, and that's exactly why he made his mistake. He leaned closer, voice dripping with arrogance. "You don't talk over me in my unit." She looked at him, jaw tightening, one side reddening from the slap. Her voice came out low, steady as a sniper's breath. "With all due respect, sir, you just made a career-ending decision." Whispers rippled through the room. A few soldiers shifted uneasily, torn between discipline and disbelief. The colonel laughed, the loud, careless laugh of a man who still believed he was untouchable. But the truth about Avery, she wasn't just an officer, she was a Navy SEAL, recently reassigned under special orders, carrying scars that didn't show beneath her uniform. And the colonel had just crossed a line no one ever should. Outside, the base air hung heavy with the scent of metal and dust. She walked out slowly, hand brushing her jaw, feeling the bruise bloom like a memory she didn't want, but couldn't erase. She thought about her last mission, the one that took her whole team except her. The one she never spoke of. She'd promised herself she'd never use her training again, not unless she had to. That night, word spread, soldiers whispered in corridors, voices hushed. Some said the colonel had been drinking, others said he'd done it before, just never to someone who could fight back. By morning, the air at the base felt different. Even the guards at the gate avoided her eyes. When she entered the mess hall, conversations died mid-sentence. The colonel sat at a corner table, pretending not to see her. He smirked, the kind of smirk that dares you to respond. She set her tray down across from him. "You hit me in front of my men," she said softly. "Now you're going to apologize in front of yours." He snorted. "Or what? You'll write me up." She leaned forward. "No. I'll show you what a Navy SEAL can really do." The silence that followed was suffocating. Chairs scraped. Someone whispered, "She's bluffing." But when she stood, something in her posture, the way her shoulders aligned, her eyes sharpened, made every soldier around them instinctively rise. He lunged to grab her arm. Mistake number 2. In less than 2 seconds, he was on the floor, his wrist locked, his breath gone, her boot pinning his pride to the concrete. She didn't hit him back. She didn't need to. She just whispered, "Respect is earned, Colonel. And you just lost it." The room erupted, not in laughter, but in something deeper, relief, vindication. For every soldier who'd been silenced, humiliated or broken by power misused. Command arrived within minutes. Statements were taken. Cameras pulled. The colonel was escorted out, his career finished before he even reached the gate. Avery didn't celebrate. She simply stood by the window, sunlight catching the faint scar along her neck, the one her team used to joke about. Justice hadn't felt this heavy before. It rarely does. Days later, she was reassigned again, somewhere coastal, quiet, away from noise and rank and walls that echo with memory. Before leaving, one of the younger recruits caught her by the gate. "Ma'am," he said, eyes full of something between fear and awe. "You didn't have to do that for us." She smiled faintly. "Yes, I did. Because courage doesn't wait for orders. It simply knows when it's needed. And sometimes the calmest person in the room is the one who's already survived the war. Because respect isn't demanded. It's revealed, one act of courage at a time." And somewhere beyond the base walls, the wind still carried her quiet promise, steady, unbroken and strong as the sea she once swam to survive. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share and tell me in the comments what courage means to you. And as always, Subscribe for more stories that remind us. True strength speaks softly, but changes everything.